Welcome back to the Full Force Fathers podcast. Dave, it is episode number 46. How are you doing today?
Terrific. As you can see, got a Dallas Cowboys sweatshirt on.
49ers right
it's
here,
that time. For everybody that's out there, we're recording this on Sunday before the game. So we're representing our teams. I'm super excited. I might not be super excited about 8 hours, but I am right now.
This may be the last episode with both of us in here. This may end up being a solo show moving forward, depending on what happens in just about 6 hours time from now. So As everybody knows, that Cowboys game goes off at 6 p.m. Eastern time. My Niners, we've had bragging rights over Dave for the last year because we went into Big D last year on Wild Card Weekend and beat them, and then now we've been waiting. We both won last weekend. And the tables have turned. You guys are coming to San Francisco now. Both teams look like they're playing good. We'll have to see. But I'm super excited. I don't know about you.
I'm incredibly pumped after last week's game. Now, as a Cowboy fan, I realize that things can go drastically different week to week. But they looked good last week. The majority of the team kicking was a bit of a disaster. But if Dak can come out and play like he did last week against the Bucs, I feel pretty good about our chances with the defense. But that being said, the 49ers defense is a lot stronger than the Buccaneers defense, so it's going to be a challenge. That being said, too, I did see a quote that said he wanted the 49ers because he wanted payback from last year. So we'll see. A lot on the table today.
It's going to be a good game. Winners going to the NFC Championship. As we know, they're already going to be playing the Eagles. So the winner of today is going to Philly regardless. That would be a third time you play them this year. Division opponent.
And it would be the first time that each team had their starting quarterback.
Oh, yeah, because you guys played with what's his name the first time? Cooper.
Yeah, we had Cooper Rush out there the first game, and then they had Gardner Minshew out there for the second matchup. So we split. Each team with the starting quarterback won a game. So this would be fun. And I'll be honest with you, there's nothing I like more in sports. Well, I shouldn't say that, because the Red Sox beating the Yankees in a crucial matchup is top for me. But there's nothing second best than the Cowboys beating the Eagles. I loathe the Eagles and everything about the Eagles. I will tell you one thing. If for some reason the 49ers win today and it isn't the Cowboys, I'm going to go find some gold and red, and I am all in on the 49ers because somebody's just got to stop the Eagles because I can't take that.
Now, two questions. The Eagles looked pretty good last night. And
they did.
And the Niners have had some classic games with the Cowboys over the years. But who would you rather the Cowboys beat? The Eagles, the Redskins, or the Giants? All those, because the NFC East might be the most fiercest rivalries of all the NFL divisions.
Yeah, no question. It's the Eagles number one. I mean, not even a question in my mind. And I'll tell you why. It's because of the Eagle fans. That's the reason. I'm just going to come out and say it. They're the worst. They're the worst fans on the planet. And I've dealt with so much nonsense and bullshit from those people over the years. There's nothing better than beating the Eagles. Second is the Giants, because being in Connecticut, we were right there. We were on that line. You were a lot of Giant fans there. So I dealt with a lot of their nonsense too. The Redskins, and I'll always call them the Redskins, and I don't care what anybody says about it. They're the Redskins. We had some great rivalry games with them, and I always enjoy beating the Redskins, but they're the bottom for me as far as excitement when we beat them.
Mm-hmm. And they beat you guys pretty bad the last week. It's funny how you said that about you always call the Redskins. I didn't even think about the Commanders. I just said the Redskins because it's always so ingrained in my life for 38 years. I'm just saying, the Redskins. You know what I mean? I didn't even think about it until you just said it.
You just said Commanders. I still thought that they were the football team.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So there's been three teams. Three. There's been three names. That's interesting. See, for the Niners, it's always been because we were always the most dominant team in the NFC West forever. It didn't matter. Yeah. The Rams got a ring. Who cares? The Seahawks got a ring just recently with Russell Wilson, but we were just so much better than everybody else. All of our rivalry games were either against the Giants, the Cowboys, or the Packers. Always. That was it because there was no other teams, whether it was Steve Young versus Brett Favre or, Aikman versus Steve Young then Montana. I mean, it was always the Cowboys or the Giants, and it was never any of these other NFC West teams that have been just terrible for years and years and years. So I'm super excited for the game.
It's me too. It's so great as an NFC East team to see the NFC East back where it has been over the history of football. They've went through such a poor spell where every team was terrible, and they were the division that got the 7-9 team into the postseason, and to see, 3 teams in the last 4 of the NFC this year was pretty awesome. And hopefully it's an NFC East team battle for the right to go to the Super Bowl next week.
Well, even though like you said, there's been some 7-9 division winners. Dude, the NFC East has had a lot of Super Bowl champions. The Redskins have rings. The Cowboys have rings. The Giants have rings. The Eagles finally got.
They have one.
Don't forget, in the early 2000s when Donovan McNabb was playing, they lost in the Super Bowl to Brady. I mean, they were good teams. Mm-hmm. They've always had the NFC East has always had a great showing. Even though Eli Manning threw a lot of interceptions and they didn't have great records, dominant football records. He's got 2 rings too against the Patriots. So the NFC East has always put out a Super Bowl winner. So that's enough about the 49ers and the Cowboys. I'm rooting for the Niners. You're rooting for the Cowboys, and we'll see what happens next week's show. We'll see who has bragging rights or not. So anyways, jumping in, episode 46, we got some famous number 46s. This, you're never going to hear me argue about where it should be in a seating bracket. It's not going to be high. It's going to be rather low. There's one name on here to you that you've met him before, Herm Edwards, number 46. You got any stories about Herm, or just someone that you've met, through your ESPN days?
Herm is just one of the most down-to-earth people you could ever meet. I used to love walking into him in the halls and just saying, "Hey, Coach, how's it going?" He'd stop and drum up a conversation with you. He was just such a great guy. Love all the work he did at the rookie symposium. He used to go in and teach the rookies how to act like a pro, the things they needed to do to act like a pro, the things that would get them in trouble and hurt their future. So he was just a great guy. He was out at Arizona State for a little while, coaching there after his stint at ESPN. I don't know where he's at now because I don't believe he's still coaching there. But happy to see him on the list. He's certainly my favorite on this list.
He's got the most famous line that I remember from him is when he used to tell the rookies, "Don't press send." Remember that was his big thing. Don't press send on a text or a tweet or whatever. In terms of other number 46,
he was the you play to win the game, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
You played to win the game.
Intense. He was intense for sure. Other 46s on this list, obviously current day player Paul Goldschmidt is, my dad being a Cardinal, and that's who I root for in baseball, the Cardinals and the Red Sox. Goldschmidt, he's been awesome. I'm sure he'll be a Hall of Famer by the time it's all said and done. And then you want to talk about some others. Lee Smith, with 478 career saves, Hall of Famer. Tim McDonald, who was a Cardinals and 49ers 6-time Pro Bowler. Herm Edwards, Lou the Toe Groza, who wore 46 and 76. I think he was more famously known for 76, but he did wear 46 for a while. And believe it or not, the interesting fact about Lou Groza is the best kicker in college award is named after him. So
I did not know that.
Yeah. It's like you said, we always find some interesting tidbits when we're doing this list. And then the other one was, let's see here. Was it Todd Christensen? I think it was Todd Christensen. He played for the Raiders, and he was a tight end, and he led the NFL. I think it was. Let me just go double check my notes here, but I'm pretty sure he led the NFL in receptions twice as a tight end. He led the NFL, but that was back.
That's amazing.
That's back when football was a running game, though. Don't forget the receiver thing wasn't really big back then. That's when football was a running game. So the tight end, he's really busted on the scene. Imagine being a tight end leading the league in catches. That's pretty amazing. It would never happen in today's NFL, but
no.
But so this so I mean, just instant shot out of a cannon. Where's this fall? This is got to be a 14 seed. This is a very low seed.
This is bad.
Yeah,
this is bad.
I mean, it's not bad. There's players on there, but none of these lists are bad because they're all players. You know what I mean? But in terms of in the grand scheme of things, I guess you could use the word bad.
Yeah. Compared to what we've had recently, I mean, just a few episodes ago, we had 42. So
yeah, this is true. This is true. So, anyways, Bible verse. This one came from you. You want to jump in and take it? You want me to do it?
Yeah, sure. No, I'll take it. It's from Luke 16:10. Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. And I thought this was just a fantastic verse for us, for our show, for what we like to talk about, especially on the financial side. If you can be trusted with very little, wealth can come your way because you can be trusted to steward that money and do the right thing with it when you have a lot of it. If you don't handle your money well, if you do terrible things with your money when you don't have that much of it, how can you be trusted with a lot of it? You know, everybody's like, oh, if I had this money, I'd be better. I'd be so much better. Would you really, though? That's the question. You got to ask yourself that. Would you really be better with it? And I think the majority of the people, the answer is no. And that's why I thought this was such a great one as we start teaching fathers some of the ideas and the principles behind how to be better with money. When you're in a situation right now where you probably don't have as much, your income isn't as high as you'd like it to be. Learn those habits now so that when you do get to that point later in life where you're making more money, you've got more money there, you can steward that money. You can be a steward for it and do great things with it because you know how to handle it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a good one. You know, the money one is what really comes up with this because money is you yourself have the character traits and the personality traits. The money, I think like you said, it magnifies what those traits are. So if you have little and you do good things with it, and you're gonna do the same with lots. If you have a lot and you don't, you know, I feel you hit that right on the head in terms of it. You know what I mean? And it's just, you know, anything from Luke, anything from the Bible in general, we love reading it. Luke's a good book. So yeah, I like that choice for you. So I mean, now the government can't be trusted with anything, whether they have little, because they just turn everything from little to a lot of mess in a quick second. So let's see if they haven't really, I don't follow the news anymore, but I haven't really followed it to see if they had agreed to raise the debt ceiling. I know there's big talk going on in your office. They were talking about it and seeing if they were going to raise the debt ceiling or not, or are we actually going to let the country default on it? At the end of the day, this is what I think about it. There's no way they're going to let it default because they're just going to print more money and raise the ceiling. So that's my thoughts on that. As that quote kind of pertains, you know, to modern day life. So anyway, so we got two topics we wanted to hit today, Dave. First one, I was thinking about just, you know, these are kind of quick hitting topics. You know, we're not gonna spend too much time on these. It's just kind of eye opening topics that I wanted to touch base with. You know, by the way, quick 75 hard update. What's today, Dave? 18, 19? 19?
Yeah, well, today's day 19. So the day this comes out will be 21.
21 days, yeah.
Yeah, and how are you doing with it?
Oh, I'm good. Everything's good. Today was the first real day, you know, this day that we're recording on Sunday, because it's been raining since my eyes opened today, and it's going to rain till they close tonight. So when they close tonight, so today I was like, man, outdoor workout's going to suck. So I went outside, did my first workout. It was 40 degrees and raining. I ran my 5 miles. And got my outdoor workout done this morning in the rain, because I looked at it like this. I'm going to run in the rain in the morning. I'm going to run in the rain in the afternoon or the evening, whatever the choice. And I'm not waiting until 10 o'clock tonight to get my 5 miles outdoor in. Yeah, so, dude. You know, how about, you know, other than that, it's been been kind of going smooth. What about you?
Yeah, it's as hard as I thought it was going to be this time. 75 hard is definitely hard. Having a full-time job, you know, where you're at an office every day sort of thing. Where you've got commute times and stuff like that. I think one of the things that's the hardest for me this time, though, is the time it takes away from some of the other things that I enjoy doing with the family and whatnot. Now, you know, I'll get the kids out there on their bikes and their scooters. We'll go out as a family every so often, but it's not every day based on the weather. It's not all the time. So making sure, you know, taking that 45 minutes away from time with them has been a little hard at times. The morning one, it sucks to get up at 4:30 for me. That's tough. But the good thing is nobody else is up. So I'm just going doing my thing. I'm getting that first one out. I do my daily standard done before anybody even rises in the house. So that's how I've kind of tried to manage that, so that I only have to do one of those in a situation where I'm kind of pulling myself out of the family. Yeah, no,
it's funny. You said it this morning when we were on our run this morning. I was working out, talking to you in the rain, and you're like, you know what? You don't realize about 75 hard is, you know, now that your job is the way it is and whatnot and everything that's going on in the world, like you don't realize how much 90 minutes away for 2 workouts takes away from even recording this podcast. We're always like, yeah, no problem. We're going to record on the weekends now. That's the new schedule. But man, that's, you know, 180 minutes you said over the weekend that we can't record because we're doing our workouts, you know? So other than that, you know, I told you midweek, kind of like the diet thing. For me, it's the monotony now. We got to the monotony part of, you know, mastering the mundane of 75 hard. 3 weeks in, you're just, you know, going through the motions, staying to the schedule. For me, like I kind of knew the diet was going to be a hard part, like I mentioned a few weeks ago. And that's held true. It's just tough because I lack so many calories and just, you know, always going for the healthy snack. or whatnot. It's just it's been kind of a pain in the rear end. So, but on that, yeah, everything was going good at 75 hard. And let's tie 75 hard into topic one. And I just want to kind of just talk about the overall unhealthiness of this country. Just everywhere you look, you walk in, everyone knows, go to Walmart. You walk in any store or any restaurant, any office building in this country, and you just look around, and sometimes you're just like, man, it just really, really sucks to see how this looks, like how this world looks. And I posted something to my Instagram account yesterday, and I'm gonna see if I can find it here real quick. If I can, I want to post it because I want to say it. What was it all about here? Let's see. I think it was right here. So I posted this yesterday from Nick Lavery, who I've mentioned him before, former Green Beret, and he was on Jocko's podcast. That's where I first heard him. And it says he posts, little motivational quotes and stuff on his Instagram account. And I shared it yesterday, and it said, waking up 60 minutes early to work out is hard. Waking up 40 pounds overweight, feeling like garbage and embarrassed of the image in the mirror is exceedingly harder, right? And we've talked about choosing your hard on this show before. It's hard to be fat and overweight and broke, and it's hard to be healthy and financially fit and eat well. There's two sides to every coin. And it just kind of posed this question. I was like, man, why is this country just so unhealthy? Like, why is it ingrained in us, that being unhealthy is good? And I think it really came full circle for me the other day. And I sent it to my wife, and Jesse Itzler. If you don't know who Jesse Itzler is, he's, kind of the one who put Chad right on the map. Joe Rogan is the one who posted it originally. Like, a new federally funded food pyramid or food guidance or health guidance had come out just a week ago or so. And on that chart, no lie, it showed that Lucky Charms, it says, this is funded by the federal government, Lucky Charms are healthier than steak. And it made me think, like, are you kidding me? Like, this is what we're doing in this country right now. We're literally trying to program kids and parents and people in general that chemical cereal in a box processed is better than steak. It blew me away. I shared it. I sent it to everyone I knew, everyone that pissed people off. And then Jesse Itzler, who took this and kind of ran with it, because he was like, man, everybody who sent me Joe Rogan's, image from the other day, and he actually made a rap about it. So if you go on Instagram, anyone that listens, go on Jesse Itzler's page on Instagram, and he made a rap about cereal and just how bad cereal is. And he's been a huge, huge advocate. He's been offering hundreds of thousands of dollars to the top CEOs and presidents of these cereal companies. And he said, I will donate 100,000 or 200,000, whatever it is. Just go back through all his Instagram stuff. For years, he's been advocating this. If you could come on and do an interview with me and prove to me how these cereals are healthy for your kids. And no CEO or president or anybody at any of these big cereal companies has ever taken them up on the deal, because they can't go on there and prove anything. Just flip over a box of cereal and read the ingredients list, and you're going to tell me that it's better for you than steak, than red meat. Now listen, if you don't like red meat, it's to each your own, but you can't come up here or on any platform and have trust in the federal government to come out and say that Lucky Charms are healthier than a piece of steak.
No, that's impossible. Now, I mean, who knows, right? Because there's so many. I mean, you see some of these documentaries and things with farm raised animals that, who knows what's pumping through their bodies, and maybe some, whatever they tested, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was a terrible piece of meat. Who knows? But it seems like it's impossible to me to even fathom that. I mean, you just look at it, read the ingredients on the back of that. You can't tell me that that's healthier than eating a piece of meat. Yeah, that can't be true. One of the things I've done on 75 hard this time, as I told you, is I'm doing a whole foods diet.
Yeah.
And the way in which my body feels better is absolutely incredible. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely incredible. Taking out that processed stuff that, a lot of times we feed down our kids' throats because it's easier, and it's cheaper, and we just jam it in with them. And they like it, right? They're like, oh, cool, sugary cereal. This is awesome. But it's terrible for you. It really is. And I can just attest in the last 3 weeks how I feel completely different not having any of that stuff in my body.
Oh yeah. And Andine is doing this thing. So I started phase 2, right? And she started reading this. She's been big into like gut health and stuff like that. And this last 20 days has just been absurd with label reading. And you really want to go nuts, start reading the labels on everything that you eat. Your mind will be completely blown. if you just start reading labels. You're going to be like, are you kidding me? Like, and then it actually gets overwhelming to the point where you're like, I can't eat anything. You know what I mean? Because if you read the labels on everything, it's kind of wild and it's scary. But like, I saw that, and, you know, and I just think with to talk about the Lucky Charms thing, I mean, it's exactly what's wrong with our country, right? This country, you know, this government, like they want us sick, Dave. They want us fat. They want us lazy. They want us dependent on them. They want us for their money, for their handouts. They want us dependent on big pharma. They want all of that, right? And it just makes me so angry. It makes me so sick to my stomach and so angry that this is what this country wants. This country that was based on freedom and hard work and you know, and strong men and women. It's the total opposite of what it was like when our grandparents, you know, were growing up, right? They want you on prescriptions because government is backed by big pharma, right? They're pushed big pharma. It's the only country where you get to see TV ads for pharmaceutical companies, right? No other country in the world is a pharmaceutical ad every other day, or every other commercial. It's just what you know. They want kids on prescription drugs starting at a young age, right? They're pro let kids have sex changes at 7 years old. I mean, the list doesn't stop, and it drives me absolutely mad.
Yeah, it is. It creating that dependency and making people weak. And we've talked about this on other episodes. What you got to do to change that, to keep yourself out of that situation, because it's too easy to fall into that now. They make it too easy because they're trying to get you to do that.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's you know, and you put some notes in here too, like about childhood obesity rates, right? They've tripled. I think the note that you put in there was tripled in the last 30 years. I mean, and as you know, what comes with childhood obesity, Dave? I mean, there's a list of ailments that comes with it.
Oh yeah, there are. There's asthma, sleep apnea, high blood pressure, bone, joint problems, type 2 diabetes, heart disease. All those things are what you're setting your kids up for if you're allowing them to kind of live this unhealthy lifestyle. And we've talked about it before too. What you do is a representation of what they do. If they see you eating healthier, they're going to eat healthier. They're going to think that that's the way to do things. If they see you grabbing a bowl of Lucky Charms, they're going to want to do the exact same thing. Okay. It's just it's the fact of the matter.
Yep. You're right.
So those are the types of things that your kids are going to grow and start having those health problems later in life just because we're not setting those healthy habits at a young age. And here's another interesting stat. COVID-19, right? The CDC report found that the rate of weight gain nearly doubled in 2020 compared to the pre-pandemic years. Doubled.
Yep.
That's astonishing.
Yep. That's outrageous. Doubled.
And you know what's interesting to me is you would think that because the kids weren't in school, because they couldn't get in big groups of people, I would think actually that would go down because you're not in those situations where you're at school all day. You're kind of, you're sitting in classrooms, like you could be outside more, but oh wait, they told you not to go outside. You couldn't go outside. Yeah. They stopped that from happening. So it goes back to what we were talking about with the government just stopping you from doing these things and wanting you to be fat, lazy, overweight, dependent on medications, dependent on them. And that I think is another prime example of that.
And what else went up during the pandemic? Delivery food, because they didn't want you to go out. Well, guess what? You're not getting delivered to your house. You're not getting your, fresh organic produce and vegetables and meat delivered to your doorstep. You're getting, all the big fast food chains and all the garbage and all the fried food. That's what's getting delivered to you. And then it just compounds on top of each other on everything, right? Homeschool for the kids. They don't want you in school. They want the kids in front of the computer all day. They got their hands in a bag of snacks. They're not going outside and getting any fresh air because they want you in front of a Zoom for the entire time for homeschool. They don't want you to go to school, but then they want you in front of a computer at home. All of a sudden, right? Yeah, this is nothing. This kind of doesn't even tie into the subject now that I brought it up. All of a sudden, the school had an extra 500 laptops so every kid could go home with a laptop. That's fucking strange.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
it's scary. And did you see the article that came out recommending that kids as young as 12 now, if they're obese and they meet certain criteria, can get medication for their obesity, and now children as young as 13 can have surgery.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
For obesity. Did you see that?
I did not see that.
Yeah, it's incredible. And they took some of their guidance from this person's name is Aaron Kelly. He's he or she, I don't know. I think it's a he, co-director of the Center for Pediatric Obesity Medicine at the University of Minnesota. This was his quote: "Obesity is not a lifestyle problem. It's not a lifestyle disease," he said. "It's predominantly emerges from biological factors." Fucking kidding me? You serious?
I don't even take that serious. Nope.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane. So I don't know where this person, I mean, they probably got more degrees than I do, so be it. But you know what? I can tell you, if your kid's outside exercising, having fun and eating the right way, they're not going to be obese.
Yeah. No,
the vast majority. There might be a small percentage of kids who have a disease or an issue that causes them to not be able to be that healthy. But the majority of kids, the vast majority, if you're eating the right way and they're exercising, they're getting the right amount of time outside, that's not going to be them. So stop blaming it on something else.
Well, it's 100% on us. If you just sit there and let your kid eat with a bag of Cheetos, it's your fault. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's our job as parents to watch what they're eating, and whatnot, and what goes in their mouth and what they're doing and how much screen time they're having and how much sitting around they're doing and how much they're, not being outside on their bikes and chasing and whatnot. So,
hey, guess this medication that the kids can take? Guess how much it is?
Oh, it's probably something $300 a month. I don't know.
$1,300.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh. People are putting that on the credit card.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, dude,
it really is unbelievable.
It's crazy. Yeah. So the moral of the story, guys, and gals out there listening, dads that are listening, moms, whatever, like just take a little initiative on your health, especially on yours and your kids. Don't worry about what's going on around you. Worry about your health and take some initiative. Mm-hmm. It's all it takes. It takes a little drive, a little motivation. Change some habits of yours. If you're not happy with what you're doing, if you want to live the full force life, then fitness is part of that. And you got to make sure you're taking care of your health and the health of your kids.
Topic number 2.
Oh boy,
I'm excited about this topic.
Okay, I'm super excited about
this topic.
I'm not even going to talk anymore. I just want to let you know this topic came about Dave and I yesterday because it was a weekend day. We actually got to chit chat a little bit on a workout. And we started talking about compound interest, and Dave just got all excited, and he's in the middle of rucking with his weight vest on. He's like, hang on, let me get my calculator out. And I'm like, oh boy, this is going to be a 45-minute conversation. So all I'm going to say is, Dave, topic number 2 is compound interest and the power of it. I'm going to let you hit whatever bullet points you want to hit on it. I may chime in here or there, but I just kind of want to, we talk about finances in Full Force Fathers, right? It's not just your health and your fitness. You got your faith and your finances. And this is where Dave comes in. This is his wheelhouse. So Dave, take it. We've talked about compound interest before, but we're just devoting a little 5-minute segment of the show right now. The floor is yours.
We have talked about compound interest before because it's so important. We're going to talk about it again, and we're going to talk about it right now. The power of compound interest is incredible. The difference in having money set aside and saved for 10 years to 20 years to 30 years is exponential. Okay. Mm-hmm. You could save a ton of money in a 10-year period and you'll get X return. If you let it sit there for another 10 years, it is just going to compound on top of that. And we talked about this yesterday. Like you said, on our workout, we were running some scenarios about how much you need to put away. So what we always say is you should be putting away 15% of your household income into retirement savings. Okay. So what does that look like? We ran the number. I don't remember necessarily why we picked this number, but we picked $1,650 a month, right? And we put that in. We said if you start with zero, baseline start with zero, and you put $1,650 in a month, what would that look like in 20 years? And if I remember correctly, I think the total that you would have put in would be like $460,000 in that 20-year span, and that was going to grow to a little over 1.2 million. Right?
Yeah.
And we said, well, what if we just wait an extra 5 years? You keep putting the same 1,650 in, you do it for an extra 5 years. Let's do it for 25 years. You're over 2 million now. Mm-hmm. Okay. So an extra, an extra $1 million by just going an extra 5 years. Now, if you did that for another 5 years, if you took that out 30 years, you remember what the number was?
3.8, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it was about 4 million. Okay, and that was assuming the average is less than what the market has averaged over time, which is 11%. We went down, I think we said 10% on average, okay, for that period of time. So that just goes to show you what the difference is. So getting started early, right? If you're listening to us and you haven't started yet, now's the time to start. It doesn't matter when it is in your life. Now's the time to start, because if you wait another year, you're going to have 1 year less year of compound interest to work with. So start now. And these are the things, as you get your money habits going the right way, you can teach your kids to do the same thing. If they get out of school, right? We've talked about this before. If they get out of school at the age of 21 and they've got, say they work 40 years, their numbers are going to be out of this world, out of the stratosphere. If they're doing the right things, if they don't have debt, and they can do 15% of their income from the time that they start working, they won't, I mean, they're going to be multi-millionaires by the time they're probably 50. At that point. And then the extra time is just compounding. Your money in the stock market typically doubles every 7 years. That's compound interest for you right there.
Yeah,
you look like you want to say something. You want to?
Yeah, I do. Because there's another thing. There's another thing that I saw yesterday from your idol, Mr. Dave Ramsey himself, who we preach a lot on this show. He posted something on Instagram yesterday, and he said, "This is the power of compound interest." Okay, you want your mind blown. This is even more mind blowing than $16.50 a month away. If you start at 25 years old, Dave, and you put away $100 a month from 25 to retirement age at 65, this is just $100 a month. This isn't even, we're not talking 1,000 or 2,000. We're talking about $100, less than a tank of gas. In 40 years, it's $1.176 million. That's $100 a month.
So you're saying, okay, so you're saying $100 a month. And how many months are we talking? 480? Because we're saying 480
years,
months,
20,
right?
Yeah, so from 25 to 60.
480.
1.176 according to your idol.
That's wild.
That's $100 a month.
That's wild.
It's $100. Don't buy a pair of shoes this month. Don't eat out twice this month.
$100.
Yeah, that's it.
$100. Yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's more than incredible.
That's incredible. What's the average car payment right now? It's over $600.
Got it. I was gonna say it's probably over $7 by now.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's who can't put away $100 if you get out of school, no debt, and you start living your life, right? You got 40 years to work. Yeah. I mean, that's wild. $100. Do you want to know if you did, say you made, I don't know, just say you put $1,000 away, what that would be?
From 25 to $1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. What
25
is it?
to 65. It is. Oh, hang on. Punch that in wrong here.
Told you guys when Dave gets his calculator going, look out.
9 million.
If you put $1,000 away for 40 years.
9 million. $1,000.
That's insane. So start young. That's all. That's your tip of the day. Start young.
That's assuming 11%. What if the market does a little bit better? What if it only does 1% better? Now you're talking 13 million.
Yeah. 12%. Wow. 12% over
$1,000 a month.
Yeah.
Woo.
That just tells you. And like Dave was telling me, we were talking about yesterday. Make sure you got your Roth IRA open. Make sure you got a traditional IRA open. 15% of your income, Dave. Make sure you're taking advantage of your company match. Most companies these days do match. Take full advantage of the match that your company gives you, and let it work. So
yeah,
let compound interest work for you.
Yeah, and you got to space it out, right? You got to have a mix. You got to have what everybody says, a diversified portfolio, right? So take advantage of that opportunity. Always get the match at work. Always get it. It's free money, so take advantage of it. If they have a Roth option at work, utilize the Roth option, because chances are taxes are going to be higher later in life. So pay the taxes now, get your Roth option. If they don't, the traditional is fine. Do the match. Outside of that, you got your own individual Roth IRAs, assuming you make less than the allocated limit by the government, which the majority of people do. You could put now $6,500 a month per person away in that per year. So between that and your match, you're probably close to 15%. And if not, you can open up a traditional IRA as well and start dumping money into there. Get your 15% in there. Let the compound interest work for you, because it's amazing. And if you're one of those people who has a $600 a month car payment, if you were to do the same thing, $600 a month, because everybody says, oh, you got to have a car payment. It's part of life. You got to have one. You're always going to have a car payment. If you got that $600 and you just put that away every month for the 40 years. So when you get out of school, you think you deserve a brand new car. You don't. Buy a used car. Put the $600 away. That'll be $6 million in 40 years. So, you got to buy a lot of cars to get to $6 million. So I hope it was worth it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yes. Just take advantage of that compound interest. It's absurd. Every time we talk about it, I just get all fired up because it just doesn't make any sense, but it's wild. No. It's absolutely phenomenal. Wild. Yep. It's crazy. So anyways, Dave, I want to talk about our book recommendation because this is probably going to be a few minutes. And I am, Dave's already laughing because he knows how fired up I am. This is the one man outside of, he's on the same level as Cam Hanes for me and everything else when it comes to books that I fanboy over. And today's book recommendation is Never Finished by the great David Goggins. Okay? Never Finished. Unshackle your mind and win the war within. There's Goggins. That's probably Badwater. I'm assuming that's Badwater on the cover. Yep, it is. That's Badwater. This book, if you read Can't Hurt Me, you're going to love this book just as much, if not more. This guy you want to talk about the epitome of mental toughness. It's insane. 75 hard is 10 pages a day. This book for me is 25 to 30. I could read it. I could have read it in one sitting if I just sat there for a few hours. The words come off the page at me. You want to run through a brick wall after you read it. You realize how weak you are mentally, physically, emotionally after reading this book. It's unbelievable. But there was a really, really interesting thing about this book that I want to say. So as we know, last week's book recommendation was Rachel Cruz's book. And then Goggins this week. And they both, how fitting. It's all about the people that you keep in your inner circle, right? You follow Ramsey and the team for financial stuff. You follow Goggins or Cam Hanes for mental toughness, physical toughness. I mean, it's amazing how many things coincide, like Full Force Fathers, our faith, finance, and fitness all coincide. Rachel Cruz and David Goggins couldn't be any further apart in terms of anything that they do in their life. They are totally, it's about as far east and west as you can get, right? Yeah. But they both brought up the same study in the book. Goggins was in the beginning of the book. Rachel's was towards the end of the book. And it talks about a science experiment from the 1950s when they put rats in water and how they're conditioned. They just drown right away. But if you, after 2 to 3 minutes, you take them out, you give them a little bit of hope, right? All of a sudden, those rats were going for 60 hours straight. So they went from dying in 2 to 3 minutes to 60 to 80 hours straight. And it's just amazing to think about. Like, smart minds think like, obviously, Rachel Cruz and David Goggins. It's just two very smart minds, and they both bring up the same thing. If you think you're terrible in your finances, you're really not. There's hope. There's always hope, right? You got to cling to that hope and keep going. And the same thing with your fitness. If you're overweight, if you're broke, if you have no job, if you hate where you're at in your life, you cling on to that hope and just know that you're never finished. You're never going to quit. Don't worry about everything that's going on around you. Focus on you and getting where you need to be. And your mind is a very powerful thing because, listen, fitness and money are the same in the sense. You have to reprogram your brain to how you look at them. And once you reprogram your brain, there's mental toughness that comes with both sides of that coin. You know what I'm saying? And it's just, I just thought it was really interesting how two totally different people brought up the same study in their books. We're never finished as dads. It never ends. Go get the book. Just read it. It's just, you're going to want, like I said, you're going to want to run through a brick wall afterwards.
That's really awesome. You didn't tell me about that correlation before. Mm-hmm. That's amazing. Cause you said it, they couldn't be any more different from each other.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is successful people who have it together, tend to have the same principles, even though they might do things differently. At the baseline, they know how to do things the right way. They know what they're looking at. So that's awesome, man. That's a cool tie-in. And yeah, you let me borrow Can't Hurt Me, and now I'm gonna have to go find this one because that sounds like a hell of a book to read.
It's a great book. So go out and get it. Never Finished by David Goggins. And that's a great way to end this show. All right, Dave. Episode 46 in the books. Enjoy your weekend. Go 49ers.
Cowboys.
And we will take us home, Dave, and we'll catch you next week.
Yeah, everybody get out there, continue to live the full force life. Look at what we talked about today. Find ways to be healthier. Be healthier with your kids. Show them the right way to do it. Go get a free compound interest calculator. Plug the numbers in for yourself, whatever you think you're able to put away. See what those numbers do over time, because it's an amazing, amazing thing. So get out there and live the full force life. We'll see you on episode 47.
Don't be dependent on anybody. You don't need nobody.
True that.